Hey everyone, it's Gloria with Glory Be Resale, and I am here to do a what sold on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and Etsy from February 2nd to February 8th. And we'll start off right now with, if you wouldn't mind giving me a like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. And the first thing to sell was this vintage 60s knit cream top and skirt, and this sold for $24.65. Cost to me on it was $1. Next thing to sell were these Clark's Cloud Steppers flip-flops, and these sold for $17. Cost to me on it was $1. Next thing to sell was the Olay Eyes hydraulic eye gel, and this sold for $13.59. Cost to me was $3. Next thing to sell on eBay was this vintage 1930s Hollywood Regency Gothic lantern. This sold for $175. Cost to me on it was $5. And the last thing to sell, whoop, that might have been the last thing. Yeah, no, not a lot sold on eBay, but this was a nice sale, the 175. Over to Poshmark. First thing to sell was this Lenny Fanina Leonard white with black trim linen dress. This was new with tags and new old stock. Um, I thought this would do better than it did, but somebody ended up sending me an offer for $24 and I accepted it because I've had it for far too long, and it was time for it to go. So $24. Cost to me on it was $6.49. Next item to sell was this vintage Coldwater Creek red with multicolor stripes here, kind of a patchwork. This sold for $20. Somebody sent me that offer. I wanted to move it along. I didn't even bother to counter. I took the $20. Cost to me on it was $5.49. Next item was this North Face half zip uh, pullover sweatshirt, jacket, whatever, and this sold for $15, and the cost to me on it was $3.50. Next item to sell was this Carmen Mark Valho knit dress, and this I have had forever and could not sell it. I had it, didn't sell it. I sent it into ThreadUp. They didn't sell it. It came back to me and sat for a while longer. I finally, the other day, put it on um, a model. I had AI do that, and obviously it looks so much nicer once on a model. And it sold pretty quickly after that. So sold for $25. Cost me on it was $5.49. The next item to sell, I'm sorry, the cost to me on this was $6.99. Next item to sell was this women's Sorel winter boots. And these I picked up at a yard sale, and they've been sitting around, and I just happened to come across them. Thank goodness, because they should have been up a long time ago for the winter. But I got them up probably around the last time we had a snowstorm a few weeks ago, and they sold fairly quickly. Um, I think this was probably a little low. I think somebody sent me this offer for $40. I might add them for 65. But again, we're at the end of the winter and I just got them up, so I wanted to get rid of them. And $40 was good. I paid $5 for them, so great profit. Next item to sell was this vintage Denali fleece um, jacket. Kind of had a cabin scene on it and mountains. And this sold for $25, and the cost to me on it was $4.99. And the last thing to sell on Poshmark was this really cute, somebody made this crocheted a doily vase and flowers. And this sold for $22, and the cost to me on it was $1. Now over to Mercari. First thing to sell is this teddy bear wall mount hook for a baby's room. And this sold for $12. Cost to me on it was $2.99. Next item to sell is this big dot women's abstract blouse. This sold for $22.50. Cost to me was $4.99. And the last thing to sell on Poshmark was this pair of J. Crew women's red cracker leather loafers with tassels. And these sold for $39.20. And the cost to me on these was $12. Over to Etsy, and the first thing to sell over here was this Louis restaurant. This is a menu from the 1960s or 70s from Louis on West 48th Street in New York City. And it sold for $34. Cost to me was about $2. I had bought a bunch of menus at an auction a while ago. Next item to sell, and this person bought this item and the next two after it, was this two switch covers and a socket cover, and these sold for $39. And the cost to me on it was $2.97. Next item was this socket cover, and these were all a heavy metal from the mid-century, 1960s probably. And this one sold for $11. And the last one was this double switch cover, and this sold for $25, cost me $1.99. Next item to sell was this wood wall pocket for letters, and this sold for $29, and the cost to me on it was $2. The next item to sell was this vintage pair of Burwood candle sconces, and this sold for $39, and the cost to me was $4. Again, if you wouldn't mind giving me a like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Next item to sell was this pair of Dot Industry 1954 Mums and Holly. I don't know, that 1954 could be the mold number. I don't know if it's quite that old. Could be though, I don't know. And this was $35, and the cost to me on them was $3. Next item was this vintage floral tray. This sold for $29. and the cost to me on it was $2. And the last thing to sell over on Etsy was this vintage music box. It was a windmill, and this bottom drawer here opened the barn door and played music. And this sold for $45, and the cost to me on it was $10. And that was everything that sold on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and Etsy for the week of February 2nd through the 8th. I hope you're having great sales. I will see you next time. And if you want to share anything, put it in the comments. But I'd happily share your good sales with everybody here. Thanks. Have a great day. And I hope your sales are fantastic.